There's a conversation that happens inside medical and law school admissions offices that most applicants never hear. It happens in committee rooms and in the margins of application files. It's the little moment a dean closes a folder and decides. I spent over 15 years in that room. This is GradMissions Office Hours. I'm Autumn Rains Lockett, and every week my team and I bring that conversation out into the open because the process was never meant to be a mystery, and your future is too important for guesswork. Let's get to work. Okay, welcome to a special episode of GradMissions. This is where we're going to play red light, yellow light, green light, basically, with the situations that are coming at us. If you're not someone who typically watches the podcast, I invite you to join us on YouTube or Spotify because we will be waving actual flags as we go through these situations.
Yes, we will. Okay, so we had a lot of questions about, is this a red flag or not, pertaining to your application. And so I'm going to ask about the situation that we've been asked about, and we'll see what flag it is. So the first question is, what if you write the wrong school name in your personal statement?
Okay. We are all holding up red flags at this juncture, and I'm only holding up a red flag because I don't have two red flags. So the number one red flag is that's not careful reading. You weren't being careful. You didn't properly name your personal statements. But number two, you shouldn't be talking about a specific school in your personal statement anyway, unless it's like the handful of schools that specifically tell you to. So you got double dinged from me on that one.
For sure. Okay, what if you get some C's or a D in your freshman year of undergrad, but then you have a strong upward trend in your grades after that?
We have 3 yellows and a green. Logan, our med queen, is the green. Tell us about that.
Mind a comeback story. I think it's what you learned from it. Clearly, what that communicates to me is like you had some hard times, but then you stopped, reflected, changed course, did something different. For med, I think that is value added because starting your coursework in med school, however you've been studying, I promise you it's not going to work. The volume, the pace, like you're going to have to change something, and you're going to be changing things between exams. Like you're going to take an exam in one course and realize, uh-oh, this isn't working. I need to try something different. And you're going to change the way you study between courses, subjects, I mean, all over the place. So if perhaps in a secondary, we write about this trajectory and in detail what changed and what you learned about yourself and how that's preparing you for the journey ahead in med school, I think that's a big old green flag for me.
I definitely hear that because I think that it's pretty common to have some academic wobbles in your early days in college. And sometimes when we have someone who has a 4.0, we do worry about them as an AdCom because you're going to be knocked a little bit once you get to law or med school. And how are you going to handle it? Yeah, but you have to write about it the right way, and you can't blame your professor, and you can't blame 17 reasons why. Like, right, it's the GPA addendum about it and how you handle it. That was my yellow as well. Not that you made the bad grade, it's just like what you're gonna do with it.
Exactly. How are you moving forward? So, okay. What if your mom calls to check the status of your application?
Resounding red flag. Lasanne's waving it back and forth like she's at a football
I want to run
game.
it across the phone. Yeah.
Anyways. Morgan, why?
Well, this is your application, not your mom's application. Your mom's not going to law or med school. You need to own it. And I know parents mean well in this situation. They do. They're trying to help their child out. The only time that we think it's acceptable is if you are military, possibly, or you are somewhere where you have zero access to communication, which means it's really not acceptable because in today's world, there's very little time where we have zero access to communication. Another thing that is not helpful in this situation is if your mom calls your potential job, because that has happened to me when I worked at a big law firm. And she told me her son's name, and she told me that he would be applying, and she wanted to make sure he had all of the right documents. And if he had called and asked, I would not have had any issues. But she called and asked me, and so immediately sent an email out to the recruiting committee letting them know what had just happened.
And here's the thing that I encountered, Morgan. A lot of times the students don't even know that the parents are
Yeah.
doing
So
this. That
unfortunate.
is so hard. And here's the thing. At GradMissions, we love moms and dads. Like our supporting cast members of these applicants are a part of this process to the extent that the student is comfortable. Like we have parents a part of this process. I love it. FERPA doesn't prevent it. But sometimes, like you are harming your child more than you know.
Yeah.
And speaking of her, but you can't give them any information anyway,
You
can you?
cannot even say, like, yeah, when I worked for law
Yeah.
schools, if a parent called and said, has my student applied? I could not even say yes or no
Or
legally,
if they showed up, because that happens.
right?
Oh, I'm friends with such and such that works here. I figured I'd just stop by and see, check on my daughter's application status. They're like, I can't talk to you about that. This is really awkward.
Really awkward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
That
ways
was
to
a
do it, but
dad.
that's
I remember that. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So, okay. Let me go back to my list. Um, what about joining 12 clubs your junior year of college?
Red, yellow, red, yellow. Okay, we've got kind of divided. All right, why
Yeah.
the yellows, ladies?
I so I want to give space for someone who there are two aspects to this. One is the timing, one is the quantity.
Mm.
I want to give space on the timing for someone who changed their mind on what they wanted to do and are trying to catch up. I can see a scenario where you feel like you have to shove in everything that you can in a limited time. 12, what are the 12? And how could we possibly
Mhm.
be like really investing ourselves in these 12? This feels like a resume filler.
Mhm.
So it's a yellow for me because I can find a scenario where you feel like you're making up for lost time. But if you've always known you wanted to go to med or law school, like what's the purpose? What are we doing? What are we trying to get here? Are we padding the resume? I don't know. That's
Yeah,
my yellow.
yeah.
Me too. I actually met with a student yesterday and very similar situation. He is a junior and or just finished his junior year and he has completely changed directions and paths and is now wanting to go med and he's like, I need to join all these organizations. I was like, please don't join all of the organizations. Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So, but I get it. There's that tendency and the desire to get all of the information and get as involved as possible, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, I'm red for all the reasons that you all
Yeah.
picked yellow, but my red flag is because I can imagine what that GPA looks like.
Exactly.
You're trying
You're
to
not making up
compensate.
for, yeah,
Yeah, we've talked about it a million times, but the pre-law president to a 2.4 pathway is paved with good intentions.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So, all right. What about treating optional essays as optional when you're applying?
Okay, got three reds and a yellow. I'm the odd man out here, so I'm going to talk first, and y'all can tell me about your red. The reds because at Grad Missions we say there's no such thing as an optional essay, and so 100% you should fill out if it's optional. And this is like, Duke has eight. They say you can respond up to three. You should respond to three, not one.
Yeah.
But we do have some med friends who will think about their A minus in biochemistry as a significant academic hardship they overcame and they will write about it. Or they will write about, their first MCAT attempt not being very strong and then the second one was better. And I just think that's honestly, it's kind of annoying. Like adcoms are going to
Yeah.
roll their eyes, and you do not want adcoms rolling their eyes at your application. So I think there are actually some optional essays, but you don't need to do it out of laziness. It's because it like truly does not apply to you.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Um, I would still challenge us to like dig a little deeper and
Yeah.
and find something else, you know? to try to see if we could come up with a response. But the worst thing that you could sound is privileged, in my opinion. So if we can't dig deeper and find another experience, then yeah. But I guess blank would be better.
Yeah. Sometimes the hardships too that we choose to write about can be tricky because like your application may be sitting next to someone who was a Syrian refugee, and then you're talking about the time that you overcommitted to your sorority duties, and like that's a real whiplash for an admissions committee
Yeah,
reader. So I just think we need to think about the tone of the rooms that we're applying in.
for sure. Okay. What about applying to 40 schools? I'm unsure.
Yeah. We're all yellow across the board. Why did you pick yellow, Lisanne?
Well, for law, I just think it's too much. It's too much. You really need to be thoughtful about your school list, and that's a lot of what I love to talk about, with clients. But I just think it's just way too much to try and write and commit to, and you're going to end up being really thin in your applications. There's no magic number. People always ask, well, how many should I apply to? And it really depends on your preferences, what you're looking for fit wise, geographic region, medians, all those things. But I think 40 is way too many, and whittling it down to a smaller number is going to make it more manageable for you, and then also your application stronger.
Yeah. What about
But I
med?
know in med,
Yeah.
maybe a wider net is better. So
What do you think, Logan?
I still think 40 is a lot because you also have to think that you are then probably going to write secondaries for 40 schools
What's
or
40
close to
times
it.
8?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, well,
Yeah.
don't ask me to do math recorded
There's a
underneath.
lot. Yeah. You could have,
right.
now I'm asking our listeners to think about, what if each of those schools that you are applying to sends you 8 secondaries? Like RIP your inbox, you
Whew.
know?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. And your summer too.
Yeah.
So I still think 40 is a lot. I do understand the odds are not in your favor. So, sometimes it feels like more is more. Um, I think my challenge to that would be let's think about maybe getting to 25 really intentionally strategic, targeted schools that fit
yeah,
your stats, your demographic, your mission, where we know that students like you have matriculated there. I think that 25 strategic schools tops 40
Hail Marys.
Hail Marys. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Because I
Let
do
me
feel like
interrupt.
sometimes, yeah, I do feel like sometimes people try to compensate for their lack of MCAT points with the number of schools they apply to. And like, why don't
yes,
you just
same.
retake the MCAT and wait a year? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity. Again,
Again, yeah,
there's a
it's so
theme.
true.
There is a theme.
It's so true. And even now I know it's nothing like secondaries, but law schools, the supplemental essays there's
Out of
so
control.
much more than there used to be. And they're not just, why do you want to go here? Or, they're getting very creative. And so I just think it'd be a lot.
And
Just,
very school specific.
yes.
You can't use the same one for every school like you
No,
used to be able to do.
no.
Mhm.
Okay. What about taking a gap year? Flag. Forget.
It's a resounding green across the
Yeah.
board. If you're watching this and wondering why my flag is so much smaller than everyone else's, it's because I have the original GradMissions flags. These are like the OG set right here from my famous TikTok red, yellow, green flag series where I got both roasted and viral at the same time. So that's why mine look different. But green flag on a gap year, why, Morgan? From a professional standpoint, why?
Law and med school is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it just gives you time, once again, for that quality over quantity. You will have time to work on, for med, your activities and experiences, work on those secondaries in January and February so you are not ruining your summer, like Logan just mentioned. Um, for law, you don't need as much experience as you do on the med side, but it still gives you
Yeah.
a chance to get some real world experience, which is very important. And it doesn't make you a non-traditional student. It doesn't make it harder for you. You're just going to have a little bit more time, and time is on your side.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you need to study for the LSAT.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think those
absolutely.
timelines really sneak up on you. Like I can't tell you
Yes.
how many times we meet with people and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna apply this cycle." Like the deadline's not till March 15th, or the deadline
Oh,
for law, or the deadline's not till November 1 for med. And I'm like, "Oh, no, this is not what that does not mean what you think it means."
no.
And that's so unfortunate because I was actually talking with another student yesterday and they were like, yeah, I'm going to start applying. They said February is the deadline, so I'm going to get mine in by Christmas. I was like, please don't get it in by Christmas.
No.
Please. It's way too late.
Yeah, rolling admissions means rolling admissions. And that means, in med, if you wait, it's late August right now when we're recording this. If you're hitting submit in med in late August, you're really setting yourself up. You've already missed some of the interview windows.
Interview.
Like
Yeah.
and it takes a month to process your application. So really that's, almost October before med schools can see. And by then, you know, a third at least of the interview spaces are passed. So like you've missed out seats are filling. Yeah,
Yeah.
same in law.
Agreed. Okay. Let's do two more before we have to wrap up, and maybe we can have a part two because I know we've been getting some more questions. So, what about discussing your mental health and your writing on your applications?
Oh, we've got 4 yellow flags. All right. All right. What do you think, Lizanne?
Yeah, again, it's how you talk about it, right? So med side, we don't want to talk about it clinically. Like we want to talk about it from a place of I don't want to say accountability, but a healthy place of I'm able to talk about this. It's something that I'm acknowledging and, that I'm seeking treatment for, or there's a way to finesse it to talk about it because you do want to be honest. And if it's something that has led you to seek out a career in law or med, or if it's something that was a part of maybe your academic struggles early in your undergraduate career or during your undergraduate career. So it's just all in the way that you talk about it. And maybe I'll have some finer points for that, but it can be discussed, but it needs to be talked about from a specific vantage point.
Autumn, what do you always say? Right from scars, not scabs.
That's right.
Mhm.
I think
There we
that
go.
applies
I was
here.
like, I was wanting to say that, and I was like, I'm going to say this wrong. Yes. Yeah. Like if it's still really fresh, let's maybe don't talk about it.
Yes.
It needs to, yeah. No.
I also just think I've been advising our clients to just say I had a health issue this
Mhm.
semester. And then, things are better. I'm on the mend. That could be a diabetic issue.
Mhm.
I mean, the
Yeah.
adcom can fill in however they want to talk about that. You don't necessarily have to tell them like, I was suffering from like major depression and I was this.
Yeah.
To me, like when people start getting into the details, they tend to overshare, and the adcom doesn't need to
Yeah.
know that. They need to know the context of maybe it impacted your GPA. They need to know there was a
Yeah.
health context to that semester and like look at what I've done since. Here's how I am going to, I have a plan with my doctor to manage my health
Yeah.
and med in law school, and like this is why it's going to be different now. We need to know like what your action plan is, not like that you laid on your couch for 6 months.
For sure. And you need to be prepared to talk about it in an interview if you've written about it in your application. And so, again, if it's something still really fresh, or again, and we talk about this a lot with our clients and students. So, um, okay, last question. What about visiting your school for a visit and then writing a handwritten thank you note?
Green, green, all the
Multiple,
way
please.
around,
Here
all
we go. I'm going
four.
to do it again, like I did. Yeah, but it
It's a
doesn't show
clutch
up.
shot. Yes, yes. You're gonna think this is old fashioned. You're gonna have to ask Autumn where to buy a stamp. But guess
Yep.
what? You should visit your schools. I think strategically visiting them when they're actively reviewing your application. So, okay, and I'm talking about law. For med school, this is like you need to wait till preview day. You need to really wait till you're invited for the most part. There are occasionally med schools that will open up their campuses to you. Go if you're invited, but you visiting is not going to move the needle on your med school admissions. It's just likely really not going to. In the law school space, though, it makes a world of difference, especially in the kind of cycles that we've seen. And then when you follow up with a handwritten thank you note, you just
Yeah.
seal it with a kiss. Yeah.
Yes.
Write
Because
multiple thank you notes as well, not just
Yes.
to the admissions
Just get
committee.
the, yeah,
If
get
you
the book of
met,
stamps.
yes, get the book of stamps. If you met the dean,
oh yeah.
write it to the dean. If you met the career development office, write a letter to the career development office.
The student who took you on a tour, the professor who let you sit in
Yes.
on their class. Like, listen, you starting your professional reputation with a handwritten thank you note is there are worse ways to get your little adult start in this life. So you want to approach all of these things with it sounds like the general rule is quality over quantity, with
Absolutely.
gratefulness, with kindness, and you want to just really think about the professional setting that you're entering and make sure that your behavior aligns with the reputation that you want to start this with.
Mhm.
Really. We're
Absolutely.
gonna have to come back with a part 2 because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It
it
was.
was.
We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.